Are you able to see the screen? Okay. I hope the screen is visible to you. Okay. So the syllabus of data structures goes in this way. As I said, you have two papers. One is a theory paper and second one is practical paper. Okay, that is the lab. In the theory, okay, the subject name for the point of examination, you just need to write it as a data structure. And the teaching hours as per the schedule is 5 hours per week and total teaching hours is 60 hours. Okay, but keeping since the classes are being conducted in an online mode and you may require certain data pack for your personal things, so keeping that in mind, we have scheduled the number of hours, that is 3 hours per week in the online mode. If it is required, if we require more classes, then in future we may extend the 3 hours per week to 4 hours per week or a 5 hours per week. Depending upon the need, we will be adjusting the teaching hours. But the total teaching hours is given as 60 hours. It is not a strict rule that we have to cover only in 60 hours. We may extend it for even for another 10 hours. Okay. So the marks wise, you will be having two papers. That is one, the main exam, and other is the internal assessment. So main exam is for 80 marks and the internal assessment is for 20 marks. So together it will constitute 100 marks. And as per the credit based, it is going to be 3 points for your credits. In the practical, okay, 3 hours per week is the scheduled one. That 3 hours per week means it is 1.5 hours lab. So you will be having 2 labs once the lab session begins, that is offline mode begins. Okay, so till then, the whatever programs we teach through the online, it could be a practice programs or it could be a journal programs that you need to exercise or practice at home. If you have a computer at home, you can practice it, or else I will be sharing you the online links which you have used in the first semester. Okay, in the same mode, you can practice all the programs. And the marks, total 50 marks, the practical exam is. In that, the 40 marks is the main paper, that is the final practical exam, and the internal is 10 marks. And the credit for the practical is total 1. So together, if you consider theory and practical together, the credits for the data structure is 4. Yeah. Syllabus wise, as a standard partition, we have the 5 different units. Okay. The first unit, we are going to deal with the advanced concepts of C programming. The whatever C programming concepts you have already learned in the first semester, all are basic concepts. So the all advanced concepts are put in the data structure subject. In the unit 1, we are going to cover all the advanced concepts, such as the pointers, okay, how to declare a pointer, how to use the pointers. Okay. Then dynamic memory allocation. There are different types of memory allocation in the programming. So one which you have already studied is something called as a static memory allocation. And in this particular subject, we are going to study the second type of a memory allocation, that we call it as a dynamic memory allocation. Again, the dynamic memory allocation is made use by the pointers. And the third concept in that is the file management. Okay, how we can make use of the files for input and output operations in a C programs, that we are going to study in a unit number 1. In the unit 2, okay, first part in the unit 2 is the introduction to the data structures. So in the introduction to the data structures, what definitions we will look into and the classification of the data structures, and what are the different types of operations we can perform on the data structures. That particular part we will be looking into the first part of unit 2. And followed by that, we are going to learn something about searching and sorting techniques. Okay, searching and sorting, we will discuss in detail what we mean by searching and what we mean by sorting. Basically, these two are the operations on data structures, which we are going to study in the operations. In the third unit, again in the third unit, we have the split up. In the first part, we have the recursion. Okay, I think in the first semester C programming, we have studied a little definition of what recursion is. Okay, but in detail, we are going to cover up in this particular subject in the unit number 3, the definition of recursion, and there are certain standard programs on the recursion. Those particular programs we are going to deal with. The second part of unit 3 is one type of a data structure called as a stack. Okay, what we mean by stack, how to represent the stack, okay, what are the different types of operations which can be performed on the stack, okay, and there are different types of arithmetic notations like infix, postfix, prefix, okay. So those different types of arithmetic notations we are going to deal with, and the interconversion between those things with the applications that will be covered in the unit number 3 under stack. Unit number 4 is very short, very simple. That is the queues. Queue is again another type of a data structure. Okay, we are going to learn. We will be learning that the definition and how we can represent a queue and its types and its operation. This is one of the simplest unit we have. And the last one is the fifth unit, wherein we are going to learn something called as a linked list. Linked list is again a type of data structure. Again, its definition, how we can represent the linked list and its types, operations, and advantages and its disadvantages we will be learning in the unit number 5. Pay attention. If you want to learn unit number 3, 4, and 5, okay, the basic concept is unit number 1. The unit number 1, where the pointers are made using this particular pointer concept, we are going to learn in detail about unit 5. If pointers concept is not clear, then you cannot learn unit number 5. In the same way, the data structure concepts are essential in order to learn the stack and queues. Okay, so you need to pay attention through the every concept. You have to start studying from the day 1, whatever the concepts are being taught in the class on that particular day, just revise the concepts at home. I would request you to keep a rough notebook with you right now. If you are not brought it for today, from next class onwards, you can keep a rough notebook and you can just note down the points in that. Okay, and those points you can recollect after the class gets over. And I will be uploading all the online video classes on YouTube channel. Okay, and which will I will be sharing that particular links in the later sessions. The references. These are the different textbooks which you can refer for additional reading. Okay. So let's, any doubts, students, so far? Okay. So let's start learning. Okay. I will start with unit number 2 right away because I want to introduce you to the what data structure is and its classification and its operations. Once that particular concept is completed, the first part of the unit 2 is completed, then I will begin with the unit number 1. That is advanced C. Okay. I'm allowing you to speak something because I may ask certain questions. Okay, and if you know the answer, you can unmute yourself and answer to those things. Okay, yes, data structures. The first part, that is introduction part, we are going to deal here. Okay, now, before we know what data structure is, couple of definitions and the concept, we need to improvise our concepts, improvise our knowledge on that one. Okay, the first one is data. Can anyone tell me what we mean by data in computers or in any programming languages? You might have definitely come across with this particular term data in C programming, right? What do you know about data?
It is a collection of raw facts, sir.
It is collection of raw facts. Very good.
Raw facts.
Yes, very good. Anyone else? Okay, so you said that it is
Then
the
collection of figures, statistics.
figures, statistics. Good. Okay, so you said that it is
Data
raw.
can be a collection of raw facts, figures, statistics, which requires to be processed.
Okay, very nice. So it is a proper definition of a data. So when we hear a word data, so it is something like a raw fact, okay, that has to be processed in order to obtain a meaningful information, right? So that data, when we say, you said it's a raw fact, figures, statistics and all. Now, if you try to split up this type of data, like what could be the type of data it can store? When we have the data, it could be a raw facts, right? Like figures, okay, statistics and all. Then what are the different types of data we can store in that? Can anyone tell me? Right? So we can have three types of a data over there. One is alphabets. A data can be consisting of alphabets. A data can also have a numeric content in that. And a data can also have a special characteristics, right? So alphabets, the numerics in the sense, the numbers and special characters. So based upon these content, we can have a data. Okay, now the next concept is data representation. This data representation is more near to the term called as data types. You already have studied data types in C programming. Can you name few data types in C programming?
Sir, int, char, float, and double.
Yes, int, char, float, and double. Isn't it? Now, can you be more elaborative and tell the characteristics of these data types? Can anyone tell about the integer, that is int? What is its characteristics?
It stores an integer.
It stores an integer. So integer means what?
Whole number, sir.
The whole number, right? Suppose if there is a data and we want to store the whole number part, then there is a separate type for that one, and what we call it as an integer data, right? Now, what about the other data types? Character.
Sir, float stores decimal points.
The float stores decimal characters.
Decimal
Since
points.
the int has a disadvantage that it cannot store a fractional part. So if we want to accommodate that, then we may require another type of a data type called as a floating point numbers. Okay, in the floating point numbers, again, we have a two classification. One is the float and other is double. And if you want to store the data in its character format, then we have a char data type or a character data type, isn't it? Now, can you think of, apart from what type of data it store, can you think of the memory allocated for each of these particular data types? Is it same or it varies depending upon the what type of data it is?
It varies, sir.
It varies, right? So for integer, how much of memory is required?
1 byte.
Okay. Can anyone have, and can anyone answer for the integer?
2 bytes.
It is 2 bytes. It is not 1 byte. It is 2 bytes. Okay. Then what about character?
1 byte.
1 byte. Right. And what about float and double?
Float 4 bytes.
Sir, 4
and
bytes.
double 8 bytes.
Float 4 bytes and double 8 bytes. So all this memory allocation, it depends upon the architecture of a particular computer. Okay. So as per the prescribed textbooks, these are the, whatever we discussed are the memory allocation for those data types. it may vary depending upon the architecture of a computer. Okay, you shouldn't later if you just try to calculate the or find the size of a particular integer variable, you may come up with a new another value like a 4 bytes or a 8 bytes. Then you may think that, okay, sir has taught us something wrong, right? So it is like based upon the architecture of a computer, the size allocated for each fundamental data types varies. Okay, so as per the prescribed textbook, the integer 2 bytes, character 1 byte, float 4, and double 8 bytes of memory is required. So data representation means what? Basically, it comes two parts. First one is whatever we discussed here. The first is what type of data it stores and type of operations we can perform on that particular data. Okay, pay attention. In the data representation, first one is what type of data we can store and what type of operation we can perform on that particular data. That is the first point. Second is the memory representation for that particular data. So together these we call it to be a data representation. Data representation is nothing but it is the nature of data what we store in that particular data and what type of operations we can perform and the memory representation of that particular data. Together we call it as a data representation. If you keenly observe the first point, let me put up the points over here. If you just keenly observe here in the first point, the type of data specifies the nature of the data. This nature of the data we have discussed, right? Nature of the data means whole number, that is integer, characters, or a fractional parts in case of float and double, right? And the memory representation also we have discussed. But something this is we need to understand a little more. That is, what type of operations we perform on that particular data. Now, I will put up a simple question here. Can you tell me what are the different types of operations we can perform on integer data? What are the different types of operations we can perform on integer data?
Arithmetic, logic.
Arithmetical, logical operations. Yes, very good. So can we discuss little on arithmetic? So what are the different arithmetic operations we can perform on integer?
Addition, subtraction.
Yeah, you may find it very silly, sir. What type of question sir is asking, which is very silly, but you will find it interesting after a couple of minutes here. Okay, can you come again, once again? What are the different types of operations?
Addition, subtraction, multiplication, division.
Addition. Can we perform addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division? Is it possible for us to perform modulus operation on integer data?
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. So we can perform all these 5 different arithmetic operations on integer type of data. Now, what about floating point numbers? If the data belongs to a float, what type of, out of all these 5 arithmetic operations, can we perform all 5 operations? Now it sounds interesting, right? This particular question sounds interesting here. Can we perform all the 5 different arithmetic operations on a float number? I'm waiting for your answer, students. Let it be, answer might be, see, one thing I will make it clear here. Whatever your answer, whether it is a correct or a wrong, it is immaterial. You need to just attempt it. If your answer is wrong, then there is a huge opportunity that you will learn some concepts, right? Okay. What do you think? Can we perform all 5? Okay, let me ask you. Can we perform addition on floating point numbers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Subtraction? Can we subtract 2 floating point numbers? 10.5 minus 5.5. Is it possible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then what about multiplication and division? 1.1 into 2.1. Is it possible? Yes or no, students?
Yes.
Yes, right. It's pretty simple answer. Yes, we can perform. No, if there is a one number 1.1, second number 2.2, can we multiply it? Yes, very much we can multiply. Since we can multiply, can we divide it?
Yes,
Can we
sir.
divide
We
two
can
floating
divide.
point numbers? We can divide it, right? Now, can we perform modulus operation on floating point numbers? Sir, first of all, we have forgotten all the operations and you are asking very difficult question, that is the modulus operation, right? So tell me, what is the modulus of, if you try to perform modulus operation in two numbers, that is 10 modulus 3. 10 modulus 3. What is the answer?
1.
1, right? If you perform 10, okay, then how do you represent modulus operation?
The remainder, sir.
The remainder, right? So what is the answer? You said it is how much?
1.
It is 1. Now, if the data is of the floating point numbers like say 5.2 modulus 2. Now, first of all, can we calculate this operation now? See here, one is a floating point number. Another, you can also take it as a floating point number. Consider it 2.1. Is it possible? It is not possible because the floating, that is the modulus operation, can be only performed on integer type of data. We can't perform on a floating point number. So learning from this exercise is that the data type, whenever we specify the data type, right, type of data or data type, is not only the type of data it stores, but the type of operations we perform on that particular data matters. Suppose if, for another example, if I take, suppose if you write 1 plus 2, okay, since this 1 and 2 are integer, so you will get an answer as 3, right? But suppose if the data is a character data like A plus B, consider this is a string. So when you perform A plus B, what are we going to get? The operation is what? Plus itself. But what is the answer here? What will be the answer? Can anyone think of? When the operation here is addition, that is the plus. But when the data is integer, that is 1 plus 1, then it produces a sum of that. But if the data is a string or a character, then what it would produce? Definitely it cannot add this A and B. It cannot add the ASCII value of A and ASCII value of B. Instead, what it will be doing? It will be concatenating those two strings. So the answer would be what? Here, A and B. So if you notice here, the operation varies depending upon what type of data it is. Here, the plus and operation is plus itself. But depending upon what type of data or what type of operand it is, the result is going to vary. So together, all these three things, that is the what type of data and what type of operations we can perform, and the storage, or what type of, how much of data memory is required to store that particular data, together we call it as a data representation. Okay, is it followed, student? Okay. Now, let us go to the next one, that is the definition of our data structures. Okay. Definition is very simple. It is not it's very simple. It is a type of a method. Data structure is what? It is a method, or it is a technique of what? It is a technique or a method of collecting and representing the data, right? Data collection and the representation of data in the memory, such a way that, okay, such a way that we can perform certain operations on the data in an effective method, right? If you just keenly observe the data, or what the data representation, whatever we have studied so far, okay, or if you want to perform certain operations on a data, first we need to collect that data and store, or represent in the sense store in a proper way, okay, such that if we want to perform any operations, it should be effective in that. It should be effective way to perform certain operations on that particular data. And that particular method or a technique, we call it as a data structures. Data structure is a method of collecting and representing the data in such a way that we can perform operations on the data in an effective method. You can mark this as a 2 marks question for your final examination. Okay, there is a high chance that you may get a 2 marks question. Define data structure, or what is data structure.